Are you one of the 41 million gig economy workers that has to pay self-employment taxes, but you have no clue what to do? I'll show you everything you need to know about how to file self-employment taxes with little stress or worry. Hi, I'm SHANA, and I currently work in the gig economy as a GrubHub driver, and I saved $4,000 on my taxes this year. If you take some of the tips that I'm going to share in this video, you could also save on your taxes. If you're interested in more videos like this one, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I put out more videos like this one. As a gig economy worker, you are considered a self-employed independent contractor and you have to pay federal and state income taxes. But in some states, they don't even collect income tax, and so you don't even have to worry about state income tax. You only have to worry about federal income. And also, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to just focus on federal income taxes because state income taxes vary so much from state to state, and it would just be a little bit too much for me to handle. So the federal government considers gig economy workers as self-employed independent contractors, and they tax them at a rate of 15.3%. So that 15.3% includes 12.4% for Social Security and 2.9% for Medicare. And the federal government expects that you will pay your taxes on a quarterly basis. And if you don't pay your taxes on a quarterly basis, you can actually still pay a lump sum amount of your taxes by January 15th without a penalty. That's if you didn't underpay. So in order to avoid penalties, you actually need to make sure that you are paying your taxes on a quarterly basis and you pay it so that you don't underpay by more than $1,000. If you underpay your taxes by more than $1,000 by the time that you file your taxes in April, then you will actually still be assessed the penalty. So you want to make sure that you are kind of overpaying your taxes, but not too much because you don't want to give the federal government extra money to hold on to tax-free or interest-free. So you want to overpay just a little bit to avoid the penalty. And so, like I said, you're supposed to pay your taxes on a quarterly basis, and you only pay taxes if you have earned more than $400 in net income from your self-employed independent contractor work. If you haven't earned $400, then you don't even have to pay federal taxes either. Like you, I am a gig economy worker, but I am blessed enough to have an uncle who is an accountant, and he actually provided some of the information that I'm now sharing to you in this video. But I highly suggest that you seek your own tax professional to provide information for your own unique situations because taxes can be really complex and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing for you. But I'm interested to know, what do you typically do to handle your taxes? Do you usually file your taxes on your own, or do you seek help from a tax professional? Please drop down in the comment section and let me know, because I'm curious to know, like, how are we all out there handling this complex issue of taxes? Like I said, am blessed enough to have an uncle who helps me out with my taxes, but I want to know what you all are doing. Are you doing them on your own, or are you seeking help? As a gig economy worker, you'll want to figure out ways that you can reduce your tax liability because, as I said, the federal government is taxing you at a rate of 15.3% on any income that you bring in through your gig economy work. And you can reduce your tax liability through deductions. And many times as gig economy workers, we think about deductions related to our vehicle expenses because we're doing things like ride share or delivery jobs, and we tend to put on a lot of wear and tear onto our cars, or we just use our cars a lot, and so we think of vehicle deduction. But there are tons of deductions that you could possibly use to your advantage to reduce your tax liability. So let's talk about vehicle deductions for a moment. So there are two ways that you can go about vehicle deduction. You can do standard mileage deductions, or you can do actual expenses deductions, and you have to pick one of the two. You can't do both. So with the standard mileage deduction, you have to track the miles that you are putting on your car for business purposes, and then you'll use the federal tax rate or mileage rate to multiply the miles that you put on your car to figure out what your deduction might be. Then when it comes to actual expenses, you can deduct things like the cost for your lease or the depreciation value on your car, gas, car washes, insurance, and a bunch of different things. But you have to choose between the two. You can't do both, because really the standard mileage deduction, it kind of accounts for that. So that's why you can't double dip. So you have to pick one or the other. And what I typically do is the standard mileage deduction, and I use the Mile IQ app in order to track the miles that I'm doing while I am doing GrubHub and other delivery type of jobs. And by using Mile IQ, I actually was able to save $4,000 on my taxes this year. So I would suggest that you look out for deductions like that, or methods to be able to track deductions. So those are vehicle deductions. You also have the option to do other deductions related to like office supplies, advertisements, meals, anything that is really related to your business. So for example, I also do work through Upwork as a freelancer. And so if I were to buy office supplies, I could also use those as a deduction. So you'll want to think about all the applicable deductions for you in order to reduce your tax liability. To file your taxes as a self-employed independent contractor, you'll have to provide documentation to the IRS of the earnings that you receive throughout the year. And so typically you'll get a 1099 form from the company that you provided independent contractor services through. So that would be like Uber, GrubHub, or Lyft, or any one of those services. And they will submit to you a 1099 form that is used to report self-employed independent contractor income. And they typically send you this 1099 form via email or mail. They have to postmark it by January 31st. So you should receive it by the beginning of February. If you have not, you should contact that company to find out where your 1099 form is. So one important information that you have to keep in mind with these 1099 forms is that these companies actually don't need to submit a 1099 form to you if you've made less than $600 through their work with you for the year. And so if you remember earlier in the video, I said that if you make less than $400 for the year, you don't actually have to file taxes on that income. So you're kind of in a weird spot if you made $401 to $599 for the year through one of these companies, because technically you're liable for that income. You have to pay taxes on it, but you won't actually have formal, documentation from that company in the form of a 1099 to prove the income that you made. So what would you do in that instance? If you made anywhere from $401 to $599 from a company that you provided independent contractor work through, you have to pay taxes on that. And you'll need to provide evidence of the payments that you received. So you might need to submit like your bank account information, or a report of like earnings, or a certificate of deposits, or any type of payment transactions that can show the money that you received. Because you could be audited, and there is a possibility that they will know that you did not report earnings from this independent contractor work that you did, even though you're kind of in that weird spot of $401 to $599. Another important form of documentation that you might need to submit is your W-2 form if you have a regular job. So if you are considered someone's employee, you will have a regular job, and they will submit to you a W-2 form to report your income. So if you also have 1099 income, you'll provide all that documentation into one filing when you file your taxes. So you'll just put everything together in one neat packet and you don't have to file things separately. You just put it all together and you submit the 1099 form and the W-2 form. Or if you're in that awkward little situation, you'll provide your proof of earnings and you'll submit that to the IRS for your documentation of the earnings that you made for the year. Once you have gathered all the documentation that you need to file your taxes, now it's time to figure out how you're going to actually file them. So you can go a few different routes. You can actually go with a tax professional, or you can do them on your own. So when it comes to a tax professional, you have a few options. You can either go to an accountant, or you can go to a tax preparer. And really the way I look at the difference between them is that an accountant is going to look at your entire financial picture. They're really going to get really invested in you and make sure that everything is on the up and up for you, and they're going to look out for your best interests. Whereas a tax preparer, they're going to really just look at your actual filing, and they're going to make sure that you're submitting the right documentation this year and that you're putting the numbers in the right place and just making sure that your actual tax filing is correct. But they're not going to go into a deep dive of your entire financial situation to make sure that everything is best for you. They're kind of more of a focused look at your taxes. Then you can also do taxes on your own. But the cool thing about nowadays and the whole internet is that you can do taxes on your own, but with help of a tax preparer. So TurboTax actually provides that type of help to you because they built in the tax preparer type of help into the online software that helps you to file your taxes. So they're going to make sure that you have the right documentation, that you're putting the numbers in the right places, that you're filing your taxes by the correct due date, and you're sending your taxes off to the right people. And they're going to make sure that it arrives there on time, and they're going to give you reminders along the way. And so you can have confidence throughout the entire process. They actually even have tax professionals available to help you if you ever have any questions as well. So I think TurboTax is a really great way to do your taxes if you don't really want to invest in an accountant or another tax professional to help you. You can use TurboTax virtually for free, and they're going to make sure that everything is done for you and done correctly. And so I actually have a referral link that you can use. I'm going to have it linked down in the description box. And if you're interested, you can actually use the referral link and you'll actually get 20% off any services that you use through TurboTax. A lot of times people are looking forward to tax season because they're looking forward to a tax refund, but sometimes that actually doesn't happen, and it really happens less frequently when you are self-employed because often you are not estimating the correct amount of taxes that you have to pay, and sometimes you haven't paid quarterly taxes and then you have to pay that fee that I mentioned earlier in the video. And so sometimes you end up filing your taxes and then you realize that you actually owe money. So what happens if you owe money? You are actually supposed to pay the full amount that you owe in taxes by the filing due date in April. And you're supposed to also pay the penalty by that point too. But let's say you can't pay it all by the filing due date in April. Maybe you just owe a little bit too much money than you actually have to spare at this point. What you can actually do is still file your taxes because you have to file your taxes by the due date. You file your taxes, but you can just pay later. The IRS has several options for you to be able to pay later. So you can actually get on a payment plan, or you can just go in and set up your own transactions whenever you have the money available. And be mindful, they are going to send you a bill and they're going to send you reminders letting you know that you owe them money. But if you can't pay it by the due date, there are options, but also keep in mind that you will have to pay interest. They will charge you interest on the money that you owe them if you have not paid it by the filing due date. But in the past, I have used the payment plan and I found it to be really helpful. And they figure out exactly how much money that you need to pay, and you can also choose to pay a lower amount if you need to. So the IRS is a little flexible when it comes to if you don't have enough money to pay by the filing due date, and you're not going to get arrested or anything. Everything will be okay. Just make sure that you pay it eventually and also make sure that you file your taxes. So actually mail in or submit your taxes online by the due date to make sure that everything is on the up and up with them. I hope this video was helpful to you, and now you know what to expect when it comes to filing your self-employment taxes, and I hope that you can potentially save a few dollars this year and you won't owe any penalties. But if you do, like I said, it's not the end of the world. And remember, I have a few resources for you down in the description box. I have a free tax estimator if you need help with estimating the taxes that you might need to pay for this year, and also I have a referral link for TurboTax that will allow you to get 20% off any services that you use with TurboTax. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up because it will let me know that you like the video and also let other people know that this is a great video to watch. And if you found the information in this video to be informative and helpful, I would appreciate it if you share this video out to other people, because I know that self-employment taxes can be very scary because you're doing it all on your own and you want to make sure that you're doing it right, and you also don't want to end up in jail. So I would appreciate it if you shared this video with other people so it can be a resource to other people who are approaching this issue for the first time. And if you're interested in learning more about me and watching more videos about my financial journey and how I'm earning income through self-employment methods, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I put out more videos like this one. And I appreciate you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.